Welcome to Trey's Theory Corner!
What's up, gear mortals? Trey Xavier here, and on today's episode of Trey's Theory Corner, now that we are completely finished with all of the intervals, we're going to be taking a look at diatonic triads. Diatonic triads is just a fancy way of saying the three-note chords that exist inside any given major key. If you recall our lesson on the major scale, when we learned that every major scale is made up of the same sequence of whole and half steps every single time, then it stands to reason that the order of chords inside of those keys is also going to be the same. If you recall our lesson on the major scale many months ago, you'll remember that every single major scale and major key is made up of the same sequence of whole and half steps. It's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, every single time. So if that's true, then it stands to reason that any chords that we build using those intervals are also going to be the same in every key, every time. That means that everything that we learned today regarding one scale can also be applied to every single major scale, all 12 of them. So first I have to show you exactly how it is that we come to that conclusion that these chords exist in every single key and how we build them. I'm going to use the C major scale as an example because it's the simplest. It has no sharps and no flats, only naturals. So we've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C again. What happens if we instead play every other note for 3 notes? So what we're doing then is we're stacking the notes in thirds. So you may have heard the term root, third, fifth in regards to chords. And that's what we're doing here. We're taking the root, the third, and the fifth. 1, 3, 5. So now we're left with C, E, and G. So if we take those 3 notes, C, E, and G, and we stack them on top of each other and play them at the same time, that's a C major chord. Because the distance from each note to the next is always a third of some kind, we call this tercel harmony. So here's where it gets a tiny bit confusing, only because some of the words are a little bit similar. Thirds, triads, tercel harmony, those are all 3 words. So like a triad is 3 things. In this case, the word triad refers to the fact that there are 3 notes in the chord. Okay? Now, tertial means we're using intervals of a third. And then thirds, of course, are just the intervals that we're using to stack to build these chords. All of the triads that we're looking at right now are going to consist of root, third, and fifth of some kind. The root can't change, but we can have a major or a minor third, and we can have a perfect fifth, a diminished fifth, or an augmented fifth. The combinations of those 2 different kinds of things are what's going to give us our different kinds of triads. There are 4 different kinds of triads that we're going to be looking at today: major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Each of those has a different combination of third and fifth, and that's what gives it their separate, distinct flavor. So now that you see how we built the C major triad, we're going to take that same concept and we're going to apply it to D in the key of C. So the palette of notes that we're using, the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that doesn't change at all, okay? We're not using any notes that aren't the ones that I just said, okay? The group of notes is the same. So now we're still doing every other note from that set of notes, starting on D now. So D is our new root. So we go D, and then we skip the E, go to the F, that's our third, skip G, and go to A. So now we have D, F, A. Now if we take D, F, and A, and we stack them on top of each other and play it at the same time, boom, D minor. So how do we know now that it's a minor chord and not a major like C was? Well, it's pretty simple. Here we have, starting out, we have a minor third. Minor third, it's so sad. Remember that? Then we have a major third from F to A. if we add a major third to a minor third, or a minor third to a major third, the two outer notes are always going to be a perfect fifth, no matter what. So in both of these cases, we have some kind of a third, and then from the root, a perfect fifth. So two different kinds of thirds added up give us a perfect fifth. So I'm not going to go through and do every single one, but I'm going to show you kind of the fast-forwarded version of what that looks like. So then we get to E. E is also a minor chord in the key. We've got E, G, and B. Then we go to F. Every other note after F, we have F, A, C. That's a major chord, major triad, F major, okay? G, we have G, B, D for a G major triad. A consists of A, C, E, that's A minor. Now, here's where we hit a little bit of a hiccup. Not really a hiccup, it just changes. This is the odd man out, okay? When we get to B in the key of C, we wind up with a diminished triad. B, D, F. So this one consists of two minor thirds stacked on top of each other. And two minor thirds added together do not give you a perfect fifth. It's a tritone. Bang your head when you hear the tritone, right? So that's the only one out of all 7 chords in any major scale that is not a major or a minor triad. So the 7th chord in every single major scale, major key, is a diminished triad. That's important to remember. So it's pretty simple. Every single major key has the same order of major, minor, and diminished chords. It's always major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So in the key of C, that leaves us with C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then we're back to C. So because of this, you don't actually have to know the names of every single note and all of that in every key. All you really have to do is combine these two concepts, the order of chords in a key and that whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half thing that we learned before. And you can do this with any scale easily, okay? Let's start on an F sharp, okay? You don't necessarily have to know the names of all the notes in F sharp, but I'm gonna tell them to you anyways. So if we start at F sharp and then we go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, then we've got all the notes laid out, and then we go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Back to the start. A diminished triad is actually kind of hard to play on the guitar, so that's why it looks kind of gnarly when I do it. So that leaves us with F sharp major, G sharp minor, A sharp minor, B major, C sharp major, D sharp minor. Actually, it's going to be E sharp diminished, thanks to a weird loophole in theory. And then we're back to F sharp major. So here's a little bit of homework for you. If you really want to understand this and get a good grasp of it, okay, just pick a note anywhere on your instrument, and then you go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Then you take those notes. You don't have to play them all on one string. That was just an easy way to do it on the guitar. And then you apply that formula. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Say it with me now. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Hey, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Hey, I want you to do this in several different keys. If you want to go around the circle of fifths, that's also a really great way to do it. Pretty soon you'll start to see how easy it is and how you can apply it to songwriting improvising, all that kind of stuff. Once you understand that there's only 7 possible chords in any given key, everything starts to get a whole lot simpler. What that means to me is that diatonic songwriting in general can be a little bit boring, and to make it more interesting, you want to break out of that diatonic mold. But before we do that, you have to understand what even the diatonic system is, and then you can do some more interesting things, use chords that exist outside of the key that you're in, all that kind of stuff. So here's a handy little guide for you to be able to remember this stuff. Now, a major chord consists of root, major third, and fifth, perfect fifth. A minor triad is root, minor third, perfect fifth. A diminished triad is root, minor third, diminished fifth, a flatted fifth. So from the root, it's actually a tritone away. And then the type of triad that we didn't go over that's really important to know but doesn't exist naturally in any major key is an augmented triad, and that's where we take root, major third, and an augmented fifth, where we make the fifth 1/2 step larger. An augmented triad sounds like this. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe so that you can get the next episode of Trey's Theory Corner in your inbox when it comes out in 2 weeks, and I will see you then. First thing you got to think about when it comes to music theory. Number 1, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is music theory? If you already know the answer, please don't shout it out, because you look like a crazy person at home by yourself. But really, in order for you to understand what you even need it for or why you should care, you got to know what it is. And before we go any further, I have to define what I think of music theory as for you, so that we can take this journey together to improve our musical knowledge and understanding.